Suspect denies plot to assassinate former President Donald Trump. Israel informs the U.S. about plans to retaliate against Iran. These are some of the prominent updates featured in our international news bulletin today. Here are the details. October 14th, American media reported that a person arrested outside a campaign rally for Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump in California denied any plan to assassinate the former president. In a phone interview, the suspect, V. Miller, who is currently out on bail after paying $5,000, stated that he carried 2 guns to the event solely for self-defense, as he had previously received threats related to his work at America Happens Network. Miller accused Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco of making false statements about the incident during a press conference last weekend. He also mentioned that he has hired a lawyer to sue Bianco. During the press conference on October 13th, Sheriff Bianco announced that his deputies may have prevented another assassination attempt against Trump. However, authorities have not yet found any evidence to suggest that Miller had planned to assassinate the former president. Public records indicate that Miller is a member of the Republican Party. He told the media that he supports Trump and was shocked by his arrest and the allegations against him. Sources close to Trump's campaign also said they did not consider Miller's actions to be an assassination attempt. Miller's arrest comes amid rising concerns over political violence in the U.S. Former President Trump was targeted by suspect Thomas Matthew Crook while campaigning in Butler on July 3rd, resulting in an injury to his ear. Crook was taken down by a U.S. Secret Service sniper, but the fact that he was able to fire multiple shots before being detected raised concerns about the security procedures for presidential candidates. On September 15th, Trump was again the target of an attack attempt while playing golf in West Palm Beach, Florida. Fortunately, the Secret Service promptly detected the shooter and prevented the incident. Last weekend, Trump requested protection with helicopters and military vehicles during the final weeks of his campaign, given the risk of conflict between Iran and Israel. Let me know if there's anything else you need. NBC News reported that anonymous U.S. officials said Israel has identified targets in Iran that could be struck in retaliation for the October 1st airstrike. According to NBC News, the targeted sites are primarily military facilities and energy distribution centers in Iran. American officials noted that Israeli strategists are still calculating their options and have not made a final decision. At present, Israel has not shown any intention to carry out assassinations or attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities. Sources admitted that Israel has not informed the U.S. of the exact timing of the potential strikes. Israeli media on the night of October 14th reported that the country had assured the U.S. government that it would avoid targeting Iran's nuclear and oil facilities to prevent any negative impact on the upcoming U.S. presidential election. In a phone call with U.S. President Joe Biden last week, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu pledged that the retaliatory attack would target Iran's military sites, rather than its nuclear or oil facilities, aiming not to adversely affect Democratic candidate Kamala Harris in the election next month. U.S. officials noted that Israel's response to Iran would occur before the November 0th presidential election to avoid influencing voter turnout. Following an unprecedented ballistic missile attack by Iran on Israel on the night of October 1st, many experts expressed concerns that Israel might retaliate against Iran's nuclear and oil facilities, which could potentially lead to a significant increase in global oil prices and trigger a full-scale conflict between the two countries. Some local newspapers speculated that the day of Yom Kippur could be an opportunity for Israel to strike, though Israeli military commanders seem to have decided to wait for a more opportune moment. CNN on October 12th cited sources saying Iran has been hastily engaging in diplomatic efforts in the region to counter the possibility of retaliatory strikes from Israel against its nuclear and oil infrastructure. The Islamic Republic is uncertain about whether the U.S. can persuade Israel to refrain from bold retaliatory measures. Meanwhile, the Hezbollah movement and the Lebanese government have been reacting to Israel's military actions in the region. After Iran's missile strike on October 0th, Israel repeatedly declared that it would retaliate forcefully while increasing attacks on Lebanon to further isolate Tehran militarily. According to a report from the UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon early on October 13th, 3 platoons of the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, crossed the Blue Line into Lebanon and entered a UN base, an action that violated international law and UN Security Council Resolution 1701. Any deliberate attack on peacekeeping forces constitutes a serious breach of international humanitarian law and Resolution 1701. The UN peacekeepers noted that although they were moved to a safe shelter, an Israeli tank destroyed the main gate and entered the base, adding that Israeli soldiers turned off the base's lights. 2 hours later, the base reported a smoke shell explosion approximately 100 meters to the north, causing skin irritation and gastrointestinal issues among UN troops. Several soldiers are receiving treatment due to this incident. The Israel Defense Forces acknowledged the incident, attributing it to an evacuation effort during which their troops came under heavy anti-tank fire. In a separate event, IDF soldiers blocked a convoy from the peacekeeping force near the village of Marjayoun at the Lebanon border, preventing the mission from being completed. The UN peacekeeping force reported that the IDF had deliberately attacked several of their military posts in Lebanon, including the headquarters in Naqoura. At least 5 peacekeepers sustained minor injuries in recent incidents, some involving explosions that the UN did not attribute directly to either Israel or Hezbollah. The peacekeepers emphasized that their presence aims to ensure freedom of movement in the area, urging the Israeli military and other parties to respect the safety and security of UN personnel and property, as well as the inviolability of UN facilities. Israel stated that the UN peacekeepers should withdraw from conflict zones immediately. In a statement on October 13th, Prime Minister Netanyahu accused Hezbollah of using UN peacekeepers as human shields, asserting that Israel had repeatedly requested the peacekeepers to withdraw, but the request was denied. Netanyahu expressed regret over the injuries sustained by the peacekeepers and affirmed that Israel is taking all possible measures to prevent such incidents. However, he emphasized that the simplest and clearest way to ensure this is to remove the peacekeepers from the danger zone. Meanwhile, Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati condemned Netanyahu's call for the UN peacekeepers to withdraw, stating that the warnings sent to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres did not comply with international standards. The Hezbollah attack on central Israel on the night of October 13 injured more than 60 people and inflicted significant losses on the Israeli military. Hospitals in Israel confirmed that several victims remained in critical condition. In a statement on October 14, the IDF reported that 4 soldiers had been killed and 51 others wounded in the attack on the Bamina area in central Israel. The IDF stated that no air raid sirens were activated before the attack and that an investigation was underway. This was considered a rare incident in Israel, given the high casualty count, as the country's air defense systems typically provide early warnings before sudden attacks. The Israel Defense Forces' initial investigation suggested that at least 2 drones flew from Lebanon and approached Israel via the Mediterranean Sea. One of them was intercepted, but the other remained unaccounted for. An hour after the attack, the IDF announced that another drone from Lebanon had been intercepted in the Haifa Bay area of northern Israel. Previously, Hezbollah claimed that their UAVs carrying explosives had successfully attacked the Golani Brigade base in central Israel, asserting that the strike had achieved its objectives. This was considered one of the deadliest UAV attacks against the Israeli military since the cross-border clashes between the IDF and Hezbollah erupted on October 8th. According to regional analysts, the UAV attack by Hezbollah once again demonstrated that Israel's multi-layered air defense system could be breached, even by drones with relatively low speed, altitude, and numbers. This reality may prompt Israel to further delay its plans to retaliate for the ballistic missile attack by Iran on October 1st.